Take two. I had to stop the video before because a couple of clowns were throwing their frisbees, and actually one of them came close to hitting me, to which I said, "Wow, sure I'm glad that I didn't get hit by a flying object. Oh, sorry, we gotta finish this round." I don't care what you do, but, I was actually sitting here at this picnic table before you clowns came over here. So, at any rate, hi, welcome to this day in history. It is June 30th, 2024. Not that that day matters, or the year anyway, but it's about the date. It was a beautiful day today. It's early evening. It's, the 6 o'clock hour. The funny thing is that the birthdays for today, every one of them are Americans. And the first couple are born the same day, 1917. Lena Horne was an American singer and actress. Buddy Rich was an American musician. Both were born on this day in 1917. 1942, Robert Ballard was born. Robert Ballard was an American oceanographer. 1966, Iron Mike Tyson, American boxer. He was born on this day. I had mentioned the other day how I had said that it could be argued that Mike Tyson was my generation's Muhammad Ali. And I'd believe it, because Muhammad Ali is my favorite boxer of all time, and Mike Tyson was no force to be reckoned with. He was a legitimate tough guy. Although Evander Holyfield did beat him twice, so. Any rate, happy birthday, Mike Tyson. Happy birthday to Michael Phelps. He was born on this day in 1985. He's an American swimmer, an Olympian athlete. He was on the U.S. swim team. Won some medals. Happy birthday to him. And that does it for the birthdays. So we start this day in history in 1859. That was the year that Oregon was admitted into the Union. But this has nothing to do with Oregon. This actually is something that happened in New York State. So Jean-Francois Gravelet, it's French, so Gravelet. I mean, an ignorant American such as myself could pronounce it Gravelet, but I believe it's Gravelet. He was also known as Blondin. Jean-Francois had crossed the Niagara Falls on a tightrope that was 335 meters or 1,100 feet long, and crossed over water that was 49 meters or 160 feet above the waterline. 1893, the Excelsior diamond was discovered. It was the largest uncut diamond to have ever been discovered. It was discovered in the De Beers mine in Jagersfontein, Orange Free State. The thing weighed like 995 carats. That's a big rock. We fast forward to 1908. There was an aerial explosion, likely a comet fragment that hit the Earth. It flattened approximately 2,000 square kilometers or 500,000 acres of pine forests near the Tunguska River. It's in Siberia. 1936 was the year my dad was born. My stepdad was born. Author Margaret Mitchell had published Gone with the Wind, and the thing about Gone with the Wind is that the novel was published on this day in 1936. So Dad was about 5 weeks old when this book was published. This book, if it sounds familiar, it should, because it was later adapted into a movie. But this book actually won a Nobel Prize. So it was And if you're not familiar with Gone with the Wind, it's basically a romantic story that takes place during the Civil War. Specifically, takes place around the time when the Union had marched across Georgia, ended up in Atlanta, and then set the town on fire. So it takes place around that time period. A year later, in 1937, the world's first emergency phone number was launched in London, and that would be London, England. The number was 999. So it's amazing that the very first telephone number was emergency number. Like, we think of 911 over here in the States, but the very first emergency number was 999 all the way back in 1937. 1960, the country of Zaire, formerly of the Belgian Congo, now the Democratic Republic of Congo, had declared its independence from Belgium. 6 years later on this day, the National Organization for Women, wow, it was founded. It was Betty Friedan served as its first president. Here we have a controversial SCOTUS, that would be the Supreme Court of the United States, ruling. The year is 1986, and for context, AIDS had just hit the scene, had been on the scene for a few years, and it really blew up, and the AIDS epidemic was it was a scary thing, and so a lot of states were making knee-jerk reaction laws regarding AIDS and how it's contracted. And early on, there was a lot of unknowns, a lot of misinformation, a lot of just a lot of ignorance. They didn't at first. They thought it was a disease that was that only affected gay people. So they tried to initiate laws that would hinder the spread of the disease. I do remember that the state of Georgia even tried to outlaw sex for anybody, so that the disease wouldn't be spread in Georgia. And the thing is, yeah, good luck enforcing that one. At any rate, the year is 1986. The case is Bowers versus Hardwick, and SCOTUS had ruled that states could criminalize gay sex between consenting adults. Again, the context behind that is, it's not that they were homophobic. Well, maybe they were, but it was more about containing the disease that was AIDS. And those assholes are at it again. It was about containing the disease, and because at the time they thought that the disease was really spread through homosexual activity. Fortunately, in 2003, that the Bowers versus Hardwick case was overturned by the Lawrence versus Texas case in 2003. So, yeah. On this day in 2001, Chet Atkins died in Nashville. Now, he was an American musician. He was a record company executive. He was credited with developing the Nashville sound, that would be the country music genre, of the 1960s. So it's on this day in 2001 that he'd passed away. On this day in 2019, President Trump, while at the Korean DMZ, he walked over onto the North Korean side and he met with Kim Jong-un, who's the leader of North Korea. He met with him. He had a sit down with him. They had a cordial greeting. There was a lot of speculation that there was fear that the North Koreans would do something to Trump, but they didn't. He was actually well received and the two shook hands, and they were very cordial to each other. He is the first sitting U.S. president to have ever visited North Korea. No other president ever went to North Korea to ever visit them. Probably largely due to the fact that there is a state of war that still exists between North and South Korea. It's just that there's a ceasefire that's signed. A true armistice has never been signed between the two. So that's probably why, a sitting president, up until Trump, never bothered to go have dialogue with him or anything like that. The featured event for this day in history, it's 1934. It's the Night of the Long Knives. And this was a singular event. And I have to... Well, let me get through here, and then I'm going to give my thoughts on it. Night of the Long Knives. Hitler has his elite SS guards execute many of the leading officials of the SA. And who were the SA? Well, they were the brown shirts. They were a Nazi paramilitary group. Here's the thing about these guys, right? These are the guys that got Hitler into power. These are the guys that busted down windows, beat people up in the streets. They, if you opposed Hitler's agenda, or if you opposed the Nazi regime in any way, shape, or form, these brown coats came and they just kicked the crap out of you. They either looted and destroyed your business, or they assaulted you personally, that sort of thing. And I find it interesting, more like just dumb, really, is that the very people that he used to get him, in power, are the very first people that he targeted and had eliminated. So, that's... Oh, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I think you can draw your own conclusions that, he truly was a madman, right? So he, clearly he burned his own supporters. And so he had leading officials within that organization. He had them rounded up and he had them summarily executed. I don't know, I think possibly he thought that maybe at some point they would rise up against him. Who knows? It's unclear, but that's the featured event for this day in history. This is something that I never knew about. I didn't know that he turned on his own people. I mean, he really is a megalomaniac. He really was a douche of the highest order. But that is this day in history for June 30th, and we will do it again tomorrow for July 1st. July 1st starts tomorrow is the start of the new month. I have a 3-day work week this week, so I work July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and then I am off the 4th and 5th, and I'm thinking I might run up to my great aunt's grave, because this is going to be 20 years that she passed away on the 4th of July, and she's actually buried about 200 yards from Jimi Hendrix, so I'm thinking I might go take a road trip up there and go pay my respects to my aunt, and go pay my respects to Jimi Hendrix. So that concludes this day in history. I'm gonna get out of here before these yokels hit me with a flying frisbee, and then I get mad at them, because punk kids, morons. Today's youth. Oh, sorry. We got to play this round. Whatever. Yeah. Nah, I got nothing. At any rate, have a blessed day. You guys take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Be blessed. Jesus loves you. So do I. So, yeah, I think that's just going to be my new moniker for a while. If you don't like it, tough. I'm still going to proclaim the name of Jesus, and I'm still going to send my love to all mankind. So blessings be upon each and every one of you, and yeah, we'll talk to you tomorrow. All right.